With these videos, my one and only mission is to make the viewers think. So I'm gonna analyze and comment on something now, some video. I don't care about spreading my own opinion here. This is very important. My opinion is partial, is biased, is not even all that well researched. What I care about is just to raise some discussion, is to make people think, make viewers question something that they assumed was obvious or normal until before watching this video. The last video I published on this channel was just my very simple reflection about the production system in an industrialized economy and how a free market would apply to this type of society. Probably the biggest economist of the free market capitalism is Milton Friedman. And of course, I have no particular sympathy towards his thoughts, towards his theories, but he's so important and he's worked his entire life in this field. So today I want to watch some videos of him, some interviews with you, and just comment on them. Let's try to take all he's gonna say without biases, without preconcepts. Let's try to put on the side our own opinions for a moment.
Look at this lead pencil. There's not a single person in the world who could make this pencil. Remarkable statement? Not at all. The wood from which it's made, for all I know, comes from a tree that was cut down in the state of Washington. To cut down that tree, it took a saw. To make the saw, it took steel. To make the steel, it took iron ore. The eraser, bit of rubber, probably comes from Malaya, where the rubber tree isn't even native. It was imported from South America by some businessmen with the help of the British government. Literally thousands of people cooperated to make this pencil. People who don't speak the same language, who practice different religions, who might hate one another if they ever met. What brought them together and induced them to cooperate to make this pencil? There was no commissar sending out orders from some central office. It was a magic of the price system. That is why the operation of the free market is so essential, not only to promote productive efficiency, but even more, to foster harmony and peace among the peoples of the world.
Of course, this is an extra that I found on YouTube. In theory, I should put this into a context. I don't know where Milton Friedman here was, what audience he was talking to, but he's showing here a strategy that he uses very often, as far as I've seen in his speeches, which is taking a very specific and figurative example and creating a sort of narration around it and using it as an explainer for one of his theories. In this case, the theory is why free market capitalism is the best, especially how free market, let's hear again.
For a trifling sum. That is why the operation of the free market is so essential, not only to promote productive efficiency, but even more, to foster harmony and peace among the peoples of the world.
For productive efficiency, but also to foster peace among the people around the world. He didn't argue anything. He just narrates how a pencil is produced with materials coming from around the world, and he then concludes that this system, that this pencil was produced, is essential, so it's fundamental, it's the only one possible, so that the production is efficient. This is such a huge statement, and he arrives to this statement by giving a simple figurative example of the production of a pencil. It's unfortunately, the video description doesn't say when this video was recorded. I just know that it was published in 2010, but obviously it was recorded way before that. I think nowadays, probably we would call this type of speech populist. It's a populist speech. It's a speech that uses a very figurative example to gather consensus to make a very big ideological statement. Not a big fan of it, to be honest. But what do you think? Maybe you found this example of the pencil brilliant. If you did, let us know in the comments, and especially please give us your own reasons, rational reasons for your opinion.
If a private organization makes a mistake, does things badly, it will lose money and it will have to go out of business. If a public organization does things badly, and governmental organization does things badly and makes bad mistakes, it will be expanded. It will be expanded because they'll say, well, it's all because we just didn't have enough resources to it, or else it will be left to stand, and another organization will be set up to do what it was supposed to do. The problem with government is not in the things it tries, but in the absence of any mechanism for recognizing error. What you need, what the private system abounds in, is survival of the fittest. What the governmental system abounds in is expansion of the mistakes.
Okay, let's ignore for a moment what he said about private systems, survival of the fittest. Let's ignore that for a second because it's a way too big topic. I totally approve this analysis. I think this was great. Private organizations are way more pushed to be more efficient, do things better, more effectively. And public organizations are not. And this is, off the top of my mind now, I would say this is the biggest problem with systems that rely more on the state and less on the free market. I think he's touching the core of the problem. There seems to not be a monitoring of errors in the public organizations. So the public organizations, let's say the state, they have many huge advantages compared to the private organization. They have really extensive amount of money available to experiment policies, experiment on things, which private organizations cannot have unless they have earned a lot of money before. And to earn a lot of money, you have to rely on marketing, production, blah, blah, blah. The state doesn't need to have this. They collect taxes. So I think this is a huge advantage because you don't need to rely on selling something to people are already citizens, and because they are citizens, they need to pay taxes and contribute to these policies or experiments or initiatives that the governmental organization does. The problem then is that there is no or not enough control or monitoring of the results of these initiatives that the governments put into place. And Milton Friedman here, I think he's very right, based on the little knowledge that I have about politics and how states work. He's very right. If an initiative by or an experiment, let's call it however you want, a policy by a public organization fails, or it shows that it's not having the effects that they hoped for, they're most likely not gonna be cut off or suppressed or changed. They are gonna be extended. Oh, poor them, they need more time, they need more money, they need more resources to get to the point where they hope to get. Of course, in a private organization, this is not possible. You are working with much reduced resources, financial availability. So this makes everything more efficient in private organization, in private companies. What I probably don't agree with is the conclusion that Milton Friedman arrives to, which is that free market economy is a better system. I don't see how we have to resonate in black or white on the extremes. We are just pointing out at a very big, very substantial problem that governmental policies have. This doesn't mean that we have to throw away the whole concept of government even, or governmental initiatives. Why don't we try to improve the governmental action? Why don't we find better solutions? Why don't we create better monitoring agencies that can control errors and correct the initiatives that the governments do? I don't get that. And then he names the theory of survival of the fittest, which is the most, for me, sorry if I use this term, but disgusting. To me, it's a disgusting theory. I don't say this out of rational thinking. It's just very instinctive in me, thinking that only the fittest, the strongest should survive. It's just something that my soul rejects. But if I have to try to give an argument, a rational explanation for this would be, we live in a civilized society. For as much as I've studied, as I've researched, as I've read about civilization, the history of civilization, civilizing means accepting all elements of society and trying to bring out from each individual some qualities, some contributions that they can give to the society as a whole. So to me, going back to talking about the survival of the fittest is really as if we were going back to the times of Sparta in the ancient Greece, where if a kid was born with disabilities, they would throw him out of a cliff to kill the baby right away because he was not useful to the society. We passed that phase, I think. That was more than 2,000 years ago. Please, let's not talk about this anymore. I don't understand. I don't understand. If you are a believer in survival of the fittest, please, in the comments, try to make me understand why. Because I don't understand.
And there's no mechanism for eliminating governmental agencies which either have no longer are needed or have behaved perversely.
Yeah. There's no mechanism to eliminate governmental agencies that are no longer needed or that are working perversely. Yeah, I totally agree with this point. This is one of those critiques that the left-wing people should really take into account and address. Are they doing it? I don't know.